partnership in a new light, giving us reason for additional joy and inspiration. We are also, as you know, in a new home, the wonderful Alipur Museum, steeped in history and ambience. It is truly a season of beginnings. Some things, however, remain the same. Most of all, the celebration of literature at Kalam. Kalam, our nickname, or Daknam as we say in Bangla, means a pen. And it is perhaps befitting that we are gathered here today because of the enduring power of the pen, at a time when free words and ideas are being increasingly scrutinized and misconstructed in an exclusionary world. The writer, F. Scott Fitzgerald, whose best-known work, The Great Gatsby, was published 100 years ago, had written, that is part of the beauty of literature. You discover that your longings are universal longings, that you are not lonely and isolated from anyone. You belong. Anyone who comes to Kalam belongs. We are also commemorating the centenary of one of our greatest author activists, Mahasweta Devi. It was a singular honor for our festival when she participated in the first edition way back in 2012. To celebrate her free spirit, her commitment to uplifting the marginalized, and the power of her pen, we start this year's festival with 2 short readings from her work, in Bangla and in English, by well-known theatre makers, Senjuti Mukherjee and Dana Roy. May I now request Senjuti and Dana to come on stage.
Good afternoon. I'm Dana, and it is my pleasure to read to you from Mahasweta Devi's 5 plays translated by Shomik Bandyopadhyay and published by Seagull Books. In his introduction, Shomikda includes an excerpt by Mahasweta Devi on why she chose to write about the Naxalite uprising. In her words, after 31 years of independence, I find my people still groaning under hunger, landlessness, indebtedness, and bonded labor. An anger luminous, burning, and passionate, directed against a system that has failed to liberate my people from these horrible constraints, is my only source of inspiration for all my writing. All the parties to the left as well as to the right have failed to keep their commitment to the people. I do not hope to see in my lifetime any reason to change this conviction of mine. Hence, I go on writing to the best of my abilities about the people, so that I can face myself without any sense of guilt or shame. For a writer faces his judgment in his lifetime and remains answerable.
Mahasweta Devi dramatized Hajar Churashir Ma in 1973. She described it the awakening of an apolitical mother. This is Shomik Bandyopadhyay's translation, Mother of 1084. The serial number that Shujata learns was given to her dead son, Broti. In this passage, Shujata goes to visit Shomu's mother. Broti and Shomu, though from very different social background, were passionate about the Naxalite cause, and both were brutally killed.
Shujata. I went to Shomu's mother in the afternoon. One can now visit the colony. There is no disturbance anymore, no terror, no sirens, no gunshots, no screaming young men. No. It was the second time I visited Shomu's mother. I didn't know Broti well enough. Shomu's mother knew him better. When I visit her, I find Broti. Shomu's mother. My daughter tells me, don't cry. Think of Partho's younger brother. Can't come back home. They'd kill him too if he came back. Even now. There are thousands of them, young men, all homeless. All those families banished from the colony. It leaves one sick at heart even to think of them. I can't think anymore. Aren't things all quiet now? Quiet, Didi. How can there be quiet with the mothers' hearts burning like bodies on fire? My daughter too burns. With all the attention we paid to Shomu, we never had time to look to her schooling. And Shomu had to leave us behind, all at sea. To think of that, don't cry. That's what they tell me. Don't cry, Ma. But I can't forget. I know. Your son, Didi, gifted his life away. He had come to warn Shomu and his group. They had got wind that the 4 of them were there in the colony. There was the fear that they would not survive the night. When Broti came and asked, "Where's Shomu, Mashima?" I asked, "Why?" He said, "I have a message for Shomu, and I'll leave immediately after." Was it evening then? Yes. I had just set the evening lamp alight. I told him, "Shomu has gone out to call Bijit and the others. They'll eat here tonight." He bought atta for me, and I made chapatis for all of them. They came along even as I stood talking to Broti. They talked to Broti. And then Broti asked, "Can I go now?" Shomu asked, "Why? Are you dying to get killed? Stay here." I too joined in. "Don't go, dear. Stay here for the night." They were killing young men at the locality itself. A stranger would be a surer target. Who knows, Didi? If we had let him go that night, he might have escaped death. They didn't live the night through. It's all before my eyes now. Shomu, Bijit, Partho, Broti lying on a tattered mattress in our crumbling house, talking and laughing. The way your Broti laughed, Didi, your Broti's laughter still rings in my ears. Broti used to come here often. Oh, so often. He'd come and call out, "Mashima, a cup of tea, please, a glass of water." Sweet words. My Shomu was rough. Those who didn't have a thing to call their own and get kicked about by all and sundry turned rough in the process. Were all the other boys from here? They were all from the colony, either from this part or the other. Lal too was the best of them. It was he who drew them into this, and he died for it. I hadn't ever seen them. Broti had never brought them home. I wasn't home all the time. You're a working woman. You have a rich home. I wonder why Broti ever chose such a course. Didn't you ever realize what your son was up to? No, I didn't know. He was home the whole of that day. I realized later that he had been waiting the whole of that day for a call. He knew that Shomu and his group would be returning to the locality, and there would be danger the moment they returned. Onindo had been sent to them with that message. Onindo was supposed to warn Shomu and his group not to return to their locality and then report back to Broti. Onindo, he didn't tell Shomu anything. No, Onindo hadn't told Shomu anything. What Broti didn't know was that Onindo had already come to the locality and told the others that Shomu and his group would be coming. I learned later that it was Onindo who had given the information, and they decided to do it at night, not in the day. Onindo had informed the police station too, so that they wouldn't take any action. Onindo. He had come so many times and sat here and been so close to Shomu. It is perhaps appropriate we read this work here, in the erstwhile Alipur jail, where many Naxalites were imprisoned. Senjuti Mukherjee will now read from the original Bangla novel, When Sujata Goes to Visit Nandini, who was Broti's very close friend, and Nandini herself had faced time in jail.
Sujata asks Nandini, "Amar kotha Broti ar ki bolto?" অনেক বলতো, সব সময় নয়, মাঝে মাঝে। এই দেখুন না, ব্রতির বেসে যাওয়ার কথা 15ই জানুয়ারি, ওর ঠেকিয়ে 19-এ নিয়ে গেল। শুধু আমি জানতাম ওর জন্মদিনটা। ওর জন্মদিনটা আমার কাছে খুব মূল্যবান। ওসব বিশ্বাস করতো না। তবু আপনার জন্যই ঠেকিয়ে ঠেকিয়ে আমি জানতাম, কাউকে বলিনি, তবে ওকে খুব বলেছিলাম। ও কি বলল? হাসলো। যে কথার জবাব দিতে চাইতো না সে কথার উত্তরে ব্রতী হাসতো। বলল, আমি তোর মতো স্ট্রং নয় বোধ হয়। আর কি বলতো ব্রতী? বলতো আপনি খুব ভালো, বলতো আপনি থরলি নন আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ডিং, কিন্তু আপনাকেও এক্সপ্লেন করতে পারে। আপনার ওপর ওর কোনো রাগ নেই। ও ন্যাশনাল স্কলারশিপ পেয়ে প্রথমটা চাকরি বাকরির কথা ভাবতো। তখন বলতো আপনাকে নিয়েও চলে যাবে কোথাও। পরে অবশ্য সেসব কথা আর বলেনি। অনিন্দ বিট্রে করল। সমুরা যাবে না এ কথা তাদের অনিন্দ জানিয়ে দেবে, তারপর সে যে জানিয়েছে সে খবর ব্রতীকে জানাবে, এটাই ডিসিশন ছিল। ব্রতী সেজন্য বাড়িতে বসেছিল, কিন্তু অনিন্দ সমুদের কিছুই বলেনি। ও পাড়ায় চলে গিয়ে অন্যদের খবর দেয়, দিয়ে আরও ফেরেনি, সোজা কলকাতার বাইরে চলে যায়। জানতে পেরে ব্রতী আর ফার্দার ডিরেকশনের জন্য অপেক্ষা করেনি, নিজেই ও সমুদের সাবধান করতে চলে যায়। আমি সেই সকালেই অ্যারেস্ট হলাম। যখন জেলে ছিলাম তখন মনে হতো অনিন্দকে মারব। এখন আর মনে হয় না। শুধু অনিন্দ নয়, অন্যভাবে সব কিছুর বিরুদ্ধে হয়তো আবার লড়তে হবে। আবার নন্দিনী, আপনি বুঝতে পারছেন না। ইউ লাভ টু ইন্টেন্সলি। জেল, জেরা, চোখের ওপর বাতি, দে ট্রাই টু ব্রেক ইউ। তখন ইউ ফাইন্ড ইয়োর সেলফ। আমি কোনোদিন সহজ স্বাভাবিক হতে পারবো না, শুধু ব্রতীর জন্য নয়। থাকলে হয়তো আমরা বিয়ে করতাম কিংবা করতাম না। কি করতাম তা নির্ভর করছিল অন্যান্য জিনিসের ওপর। জানি না কি হতো। ব্রতীকে তুমি খুব ভালোবাসতে। তখন তাই মনে হতো, এখনো তাই মনে হয়। শুনেছি সময় সবাই সব ভুলে যাব, কিংবা ওর মুখ আবছা হয়ে যাবে মনে, ভাবলে ভাবলে ভয় করে। জানি না ভুলে যাব কিনা, জানি না কম মনে পড়বে কিনা, কিন্তু শুধু ব্রতী নয়, যখন ভাবি সো মেনি ডাইড ফর হোয়াট। জানেন জেল থেকে বেরিয়ে সবচেয়ে আগে কি বুকে লেগেছিল? যখন দেখলাম সব কিছু নর্মাল, চমৎকার, যেন যা হবার হয়েছে, এখন সব শান্ত হয়ে গেছে, এই ভাবখানা চতুর্দিকে, তখন বুক ভেঙে গিয়েছিল। কিন্তু এখন তো সব শান্ত হয়ে গেছে নন্দিনী। না, শান্ত হয়নি, হতে পারে না। তখনও কিছুই কোয়াইট ছিল না, এখনো নেই। ডোন্ট সে সব শান্ত হয়ে গেছে। আফটার অল ইউ আর ব্রতিজ মাদার। কিছুই শান্ত হয়নি, হয়নি। ওয়াই ডিড দে ডাই? কি শেষ হয়েছে? মানুষ সুখে আছে? রাজনীতির খেলা শেষ হয়েছে? ইজ ইট আ বেটার ওয়ার্ল্ড? হাজার হাজার ছেলে বিনা বিচারে আটকে, তবুও বলবেন সব শান্ত হয়ে গেছে? A heavy blanket of silence suffocated the conversation. When Sujata arrived home, she felt a chill run deep within her, a numbness that echoed the cold inside of the morgue where Broti lay. দরজা বন্ধ করে শাওয়ার খুলে মেঝেতে বসে পড়লেন সুজাতা। ঠান্ডা জলে শরীর জুড়িয়ে যাচ্ছে, বরফের মতো ঠান্ডা জল। বরফ, আইস স্ল্যাব। বরফের স্ল্যাবে সদ্য মৃত রক্তাক্ত শরীর ফেলে রাখলে রক্ত বন্ধ হয়। ঠান্ডা জল, শীতল। ব্রতির আঙুলের মতো, ব্রতির কপালের, বুকের, হাতের মতো ঠান্ডা কোনো শীতলতা হতে পারে না। আজ সারা দিন ব্রতির সঙ্গে ছিলেন। ব্রতির আঙুল কি ঠান্ডা, হিম শীতল, চোখের পাতা নির্মিলিত, ঘন কালো পল্লব চোখের, তামাটে হয়ে যাওয়া ফর্সা রং, চুল ঠান্ডা বরফ জলে ভেজা, ঠান্ডা, শীতল শীতল, হিম হিম। আজ সারা দিন ব্রতির সঙ্গে ছিলেন। শ্মশানে রাত্রির পুলিশ পাহারায় ব্রতী। শ্মশানে ফ্ল্যাট লাইট, দেওয়ালে লেখা নামের পর নাম, নাম 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 নাম। অ্যালুমিনিয়ামের দরজা ধরাস করে নামলো, ব্রতী। বিদ্যুৎ বহ্নিতে ভেতরে ব্রতীকে সেঁকা হচ্ছে। সারাদিন ব্রতীর সঙ্গে ছিলেন। ছাই নেন, অস্থি নেন, মাটি দিয়া ধরেন, গঙ্গায় ফালাইতে হইবে। আজ সারাদিন সুজাতা ব্রতীর সঙ্গেই ছিলেন।
Thank you, Senjuti and Dana, for that very moving beginning to the festival. I would now like to request Dr. Joyanto Sengupta, Director of the Alipur Museum, to say a few words.
Ms. Barbara Kingsolver, Srimati Banu, Mushtaq, two of the most eminent authors of our time, Sri Avik Roy, the Managing Director and CEO of Excite, the title sponsors of this meet, Srimati Malavika Banerjee, Director of the meet, all other distinguished delegates and members of the audience, on behalf of the Alipur Museum and the West Bengal Housing and Industrial Development Corporation, which runs this museum, it is my privilege to welcome you to this historic space for the Kolkata Literary Meet 2026. It's one of the most eagerly anticipated events in Kolkata's annual cultural calendar, and we all look forward to 6 days of stimulating conversations about literature, history, and art. We are thankful to the organizers of the Kolkata Literary Meet for proposing this, and to the authorities of WB HITCO for approving this and giving the meet a new home, which I hope all of you will like. And that's all I have to say. Thank you all for being here. Enjoy the conversations, and please don't forget to check out the historic space and museum as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sengupta. I would now like to welcome Mr. Avik Roy, Managing Director and CEO of Excite, and he's going to address us.
I promise to keep it short because I know you have not come to hear me. It's a complete privilege to be standing over here. It's a complete moment of pride I can't explain. And not as a CEO of a company, but as a person who's born and brought up and still lives in this city. So it's a day of pride. KLM has become an iconic event of Calcutta these days, and it was our long cherished wish to partner with KLM, and that day has come today. We're extremely proud of that too. I represent a company, Excite, which is anchored in Calcutta for the last 8 decades. We expanded our footprint all over the country as well as in some parts of the world, but we never really shifted our corporate office and the center of gravity of the company from Calcutta. This was a decision made out of choice and not out of any compulsion, and we don't regret it. So like Kolkata, Excite is also an emotion. Like KLM, Excite is also an icon of Calcutta these days. We have made a fairly long commitment with KLM in terms of supporting them and making this event shine brighter every year. Because this is our tribute to Kolkata's timeless spirit of heritage, creativity, and progress. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roy. And now I'd like to hand over the reins to Malavika Banerjee, who will take us through the rest of the inauguration.
Thank you, friends. Welcome to the Excite Kolkata Literary Meet, our 14th edition. We have a new home, the Alipur Museum, and I hope this one gives us a long lease. I can't say long sentence. We have a new partner, Excite, and I hope the literature caravan that is Kalam, KLM, will get ignited and motored by new ideas in the years to come with your generous patronage. Thank you, Mr. Roy. Where we stand is a former prison built in colonial times that had in custody some of our greatest freedom fighters To be here is humbling and reminds us how hard fought our freedom was. It is a gift that we must value and further enhance and nurture with more tolerance, greater inclusivity, and a broader understanding of the world around us. I am delighted, therefore, to welcome two authors who exemplify these qualities to inaugurate this edition, our 14th. Banu, Mushtaq, and Barbara Kingsolver, two authors could not be more different in their styles. One writes short stories that pack in the tribulations and the battles fought, the victories earned in private spaces, in towns away from the bustling metros. Thank you, Banuji, for opening these worlds for us. And the other, Barbara Kingsolver, makes readers luxuriate in a meticulously created fiction universe spread across a novel. And yet, two storytellers couldn't be more aligned in their concerns for the planet, their empathy for the disenfranchised, and their unflinching honesty as they examine power structures. It gives me a great deal of pride to welcome you all to listen to these authors and many others who will tell us the importance of words, the importance that they be free, and the importance that we learn to listen to truth in its essence and not in the mangled form we often see in our devices. Our sessions are streamed live, but I would urge you all to come to the venue and listen to these people in what the Gen Z calls IRL, in real life. We've put this together with a lot of love, and I'm sure my city will welcome all these authors and thinkers with as much warmth. Enjoy the conversations, and see you across these 5 days right here. I would now request Banuji to address the audience.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, dear writers, translators, publishers, scholars, and above all, dear readers, good evening. It is a profound privilege to stand here today in this city of words to inaugurate the Calcutta Literary Festival Kalam, guided by a beautiful land, deeply resonant idea, rediscover. Not merely as an action, but as an invitation to return to something we may have forgotten, neglected, or taken for granted. And what is it that we are being asked to rediscover? Reading. Because reading, as the festival so rightly declares, is the best way to discover new worlds. Calcutta understands this truth better than most cities. This is a city where words have never been ornamental, they have been instrumental. Words here have questioned empires, shaped movements, reimagined society, and offered shelter to the wounded imagination. To read in such a city is not an escape, it is an engagement. When we read, we do not merely enter new worlds, we expand our own. A book does something miraculous. It allows us to live lives we will never live, to inhabit bodies we will never have, to feel griefs we have never suffered, and hopes we have never dared to imagine. Reading stretches the moral and emotional boundaries of the self. In a world increasingly governed by speed, spectacle, and sound bites, reading teaches us slowness. In an age of instant opinion, reading teaches us patience. In times of loud certainty, reading nurtures doubt and with it wisdom. To rediscover reading today is therefore not nostalgic, it is radical. Because reading resists simplification, it refuses binaries, it does not allow us the comfort of easy answers. A reader learns that the world is layered, complex, and unfinished, and perhaps that is why literature remains indispensable in times like ours, times marked by fractures, polarities, and anxieties. Books do not give us slogans, they give us questions. They ask us, who is speaking? Who is silenced? Whose story remains untold? When we read across languages, cultures, genders, and histories, we do not merely consume stories, we redistribute empathy. That is why festivals like this matter. A literary festival is not just a celebration of books, it is a celebration of plurality. Here, multiple languages breathe together. Here, translator becomes an act of justice. Here, marginal voice move from the footnotes to the center of the page. To rediscover reading is also to rediscover the reader's responsibility, because reading is not passive. It demands attentiveness. It demands ethical engagement. A reader is someone who listens deeply. And a society that listens deeply is a society capable of change. Let us also remember, every book we hold in our hands is the result of invisible labor of writers who persisted despite silence, of translators who built bridges between worlds, of publishers who believed, and of readers who kept faith. This festival honors all of them. And to the younger readers here today, I want to say this: the future does not belong only to those who quote faster or speak louder. It also belongs to those who read better, read to understand, not merely to succeed, read to question, not merely to agree, read to imagine a more human world, because the imagination is not a luxury, it is a survival skill. As we inaugurate this festival under the banner of Rediscover, let us rediscover reading not as a habit, but as a home where differences are welcomed, where silence has meaning, and where the human voice in all its fragility and courage is preserved. May this festival be a space where books are not displayed but encountered, where conversations do not end with applause but continue within us, and where every reader leaves carrying at least one new world inside them. With these words, I declare the Calcutta Literary Festival open. Thank you. Thank you, friends.
I would now welcome Barbara Kingsolver to address us.
That was so beautiful. My colleague has just said everything that I believe, so I don't really have much to add. But I will try my best. It is an extraordinary privilege to travel to the absolute opposite side of the globe and find kindred spirits. To travel over all of those different countries and look down from an airplane and think about what I know of those places, many of those places where I've never set foot, but places I know because of reading. because of the worlds that I've been allowed to carry inside myself because of the great privilege and the magic of reading. It's an amazing thing to travel around the world and get to sit on a stage with your literary heroes, to meet your literary heroes in the elevator, as just happened an hour ago. These meetings, these times when we come together are remarkable because they make this process real to us. But the most important thing is the magic that's happened inside our heads already when we read. So I'm happy to meet people I grew up reading, but I already know them. This country, this city, I feel I've known all of my life because of the great writers and the books that I've read. This magical place, Kolkata, this magical nation of many nations, India, lives for me because of the books I've read. I grew up in a really little town in the poorest part of the United States of America, a place where nobody I knew had very big lives or very big ambitions or dreams, but we had a library, and books were my windows into the whole world, my windows and my doorways into living other lives. This is the magic that we are both privileged and have a duty to preserve. I think it's my job to welcome you. I've never done an inauguration before. I'm just winging it here. But I think it's also my job to thank you for participating in this extraordinary process of setting our own lives down for a time on the nightstand or wherever you read, on an airplane, in a chair, and opening a book and stepping inside not just the life, but the brain of another human being. Think about that. No other art form really transports us in this way into the mind of another human. So we see the world through their eyes. Their children are our children. Their hungers become our hungers. When you put that book down again, finished, you're not the same person you were. These are difficult times we're living in, but I'm reminded, particularly by this remarkable and sobering location, that times have always been hard. This is nothing new. The struggle for freedom, the loss of freedom, the loss of life in the struggle for freedom, and very often loss of life in the struggle for helping other people to be free. It feels like we're going backwards right now in my country. It feels like we've slipped backward in ways I can't even quite explain or comprehend, in terms of losing not just a sense of unified purpose as a nation, but even a belief in what's true and what's good. What I believe is the antidote to meanness and division is empathy. So I am here, as I said, to thank you for participating in this marvelous project of empathy. And I want to thank especially the readers. You are our everything. As writers, we need you. Without you, we are nothing. Well, we're not nothing. We're just people up in an office having a conversation with ourselves. So thank you for enlarging and expanding and carrying that conversation across miles and across centuries. Welcome. Feel inaugurated. I look forward to seeing more of you this week.
Now we'll do our inaugural ceremonial signing of the canvas. So I would invite both Banuji as well as Barbara to sign on the canvas. Thank you, Banuji. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Mr. Roy. Thank you, Joyantada. We will now take 5 minutes to rearrange the stage. And I'm sorry that some of you, if you want, you can sit in front. I really am feeling that some of you could just, the youngsters, if you could just look around. If someone who seems to need a seat needs one, could you please just stand for a bit? Where's Anu?